Namaste, everyone. How we doing? Let's see if I can get that right. Hold on, just trying to get Facebook set up too. Oh, I really wish my case was still working. Okay, hopefully that'll work now. Press go live there. Stars enabled. Okay, namaste. Let's hope we are now live. Somebody could let me know that. Oh dear, I see the problem with this case. A few problems, I think, on this one. Hopefully that'll work there. Namaste, everyone. Sorry, a few technical issues here as we start to get going. A little bit low there, but okay, let's come back a bit. Let's stick that one there. Maybe that's going to be okay. Namaste. Very warm hello. Let me get this light sorted. What's going on here? What's happening here? Maybe is that better? Let's try that. Okay. Namaste. Let me just grab my final device to go live. We're going to go live everywhere. We're going live on YouTube here. Very good. What are we? Good evening in Nepal. Facebook here. Hello, everyone. And hopefully going to get the Instagram up now in 1 second. Hello. I don't know where we're going to balance that. Maybe we'll balance that one there. And here we go. Namaste to everyone. Namaskar. Raj Kumar. Namaste to Sandesh. Hi everyone there on Facebook. What a day. Incredible. Really loved every second of it. Let me get the Instagram live set up as well. And then after I do that, we'll start talking about what we're going to talk about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press. Ooh, that's not great. Let's go. Let me put that one there as well. Let's try that. Not great angles here, people. Not very friendly angles to the well, I was going to say ever-expanding waistline, but we're trying our best at the moment. Okay. Hello, everyone on Facebook. Lovely to see you all. Let's have a bit of a review of the day. I think Instagram's gone live now as well. Instagram's by far the best video for some reason. YouTube seems really dark, but apologies for that. Namaste to everyone. Namaste there on Facebook. Jeez, 1.2 thousand people watching. Hello. How's it going? 1.3. What's going on? That is crazy. Lovely to hear from everyone. Due to a poor wireless connection, your broadcast has been paused. That's a little bit suboptimal. Let's see. No, we're on the high Wi-Fi. We should be okay. Okay. Internet connection is restored. Namaste. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Thought we would have a little bit of a Q&A session after the first 2 days of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Asia Qualifier Final. And after I kind of run through the first couple of days, my thoughts on all the action from the TU ground where I've been with Paresh Lahani, we'll just get into a Q&A and maybe run for sort of half an hour or something like that. Lots of people asking to be in my live video. I don't know if I can say yes or no to that, so we're just gonna leave that for the moment. But what a couple of days it's been. 4 matches so far in each group. Comes pretty thick and fast, the action here in the men's qualifier for the Asia region. Pretty tough as well. I kind of feel for all the teams because it's you could be knocked out in 2 days like Malaysia and Singapore are, or you could win all 3 games your first 3 days, and then if you lose on Friday, you don't go to the World Cup. So if you're ever wondering why associate cricket is known as being ruthless, this qualifier is a pretty good example of it. What would be awesome is if someone can tell me can they hear and see me okay? Maybe if I do like Momo. Mohan Kadka, it's a good question. If you can see and hear me on all, can you just give us a thumbs up or something? Okay, it seems like Instagram's working. What about YouTube? People on YouTube, yes, you can hear okay. I'm going to, just for the sake of this Facebook one, you can see there, I was watching the cricket. I'll show you on Instagram. Pakistan have just hammered Bangladesh. Bangladesh are having a really poor World Cup. Did not see that coming. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put that blind down, because if I don't know, Star Sports might get upset with the thing. There's a friend of mine, Samuel Badri, presenting the Player of the Match trophy. So let's get that down. There we go. So that's going to get rid of that'll get rid of the reflection and stop us from any copyright issues. So very good evening to everyone. Let's have a run through the first couple of days of action. Not going to lie, still buzzing from today. It was absolutely Laxmi says, I can see you, but I can't see your hair. What has happened? That's a good question. Well, I'm very much a Taklu Dai these days. As you know, my nickname, I'm bold as anything. You might have seen on the Tri-Series broadcast some of the shots of me with dyed hair back when I was younger, but I'm very happy to be bald. So I quite like the nickname Taklu Dai. So let's run through the first couple of days and then we'll get into some questions. We'll try and do about 30, 40 minutes, something like that. So much. I'm so grateful for everyone coming and saying hello, and thanks for all the lovely messages that are coming in. Angie, Sarah, Imad, Jivan Panta, lovely to hear from you, mate. Everyone over on YouTube as well, Kancha, Sagar, Saksham, Prajwal Gautam as well. I'm not going to answer that question. I don't even know really the answer to that question, my friend. Prince Busa, lovely to hear from you as well. Let's run through the first 2 days. We've had back-to-back games on both days. Talk about Group A first, where I've been with Paresh Lahani in the Oman and Nepal group. It's been really good. Quality cricket's been impressive. The fans have been excellent, particularly given, A, it's a work day, Monday and Tuesday, but B, the first Nepal game started at 9 a.m. against Singapore. I've been quietly impressed with Malaysia. I think Malaysia had a really good tournament. I feel a bit sorry for them today. I thought they were very, very good. Singapore, even they've had their moments. Their captain, Aritra Dutt, has spoken really honestly to me each time at the toss and the post matches. They're having a tough time of things at the moment, and they're not really progressing at the rate they would like. They're in a rebuilding phase, as he's described it, and I think that's a pretty fair way to look at it. They're battling a bit. So they may lose their final game to Malaysia, but they're going to hopefully continue to get better and better in time to come. First game was Singapore versus Nepal. Singapore really took it to Nepal for the first sort of 5 or 6 overs. Unbelievable effort though from Sandeep Lamachani back into the team after that little bit of a break. He probably needed that week off, it seems like. And look, I thought the way Nepal fought back to restrict Singapore to 145 was a really good effort. But Rohan Rangarajan made 46, something like that, off 30 balls. And Avinash Bahara had an expensive day, but he fought back really well with a double wicket maiden towards the death. And Nepal just closed out that innings were really well bowling. 146 even in a morning game wasn't going to be a big enough target. And incredible from Kushal Bertel. He smashed the ball everywhere, scored with real fluency. I thought Rohit Paudel batted beautifully at number 3. I thought that was a cool move to see the captain go up to number 3 from number 4. And it was a pretty comfortable victory for Nepal in that opening game. Second game, the afternoon game, was a thriller. Malaysia may have lost by 32 runs to Oman, but that doesn't paint the picture at all as to just how incredible that game was. For the vast majority of that match, I thought Oman were miles behind where they needed to be, and what was probably not as good a batting track as today, but was still a good surface. Look, for me, I was really, really surprised. Maybe we can get that angle a bit better. Is that better? Yeah, that could be better. I was really surprised with Zishan Maqsood's approach at first, but then talking to him afterwards, he kind of summed it up very well. He said that he didn't think that the rest of his team had enough runs in them to be able to get them towards what would be a defendable target for his bowling side. So what he said was, I'm going to try and take this as deep as possible. I think he was 31 off 37 or 31 off 38 at one point, which for me in a T20, even a low scoring T20 is a difficult effort. But the way he caught up at the end, I think he ended up with 56 off 46 not out. That got Oman to 153. And critically, I'm a big believer, as you probably have heard me say in commentary before, in momentum in T20 internationals. It's an intangible thing to quantify or describe, and some people don't believe in it, but I think it has a massive, massive effect on T20Is in particular. It swings the game so heavily if you have a good conclusion to your... This case is going to kill me. We're going to have to try and fix this case. Hold on. What have we got here to maybe stand it up against? Oh, maybe we stand that up. I can just do the job there. Let's hope it's going to work. Bear with me on Facebook. I know that's not ideal. I'm just going to get one bottle to hold that up. Okay, hold on a second. We've got water bottles, and they're going to do the job of the stand because my case is sadly broken on my tablet, which is annoying. So hopefully, as soon as that goes in there, and this one goes there. Bit of a shambles at the start to the stream. We need an administrator and somebody with better skills than me. Okay, that is good. Okay, we're good there. Good there. And on YouTube, how are we going? We're still there. Okay, yeah. So, basically, Zishan Zishan Maksud, I suppose his decision to take that innings deep to get up to 153 was just superb. And I was talking about momentum. The momentum all went Oman's way. And then from the very first ball, no surprise, Malaysia, a little deflated going in. First ball, Syed Aziz, probably their best batter apart from Virendeep Singh, snicks off to Bilal Khan. Beautiful away swinger, caught up for a slip. And that, they were always behind the 8 ball in Malaysia. They never really got going. And Zishan Maksud's spell of bowling, well, if you wonder why he's one of the best all-rounders in associate cricket, Zishan Maksud, 2 for 13 from his 4, and outstanding. That was day 1 in Group A. Over in Group B, things pretty much went as you would have expected, although UAE had a little bit of a battle to get past Bahrain, 135. And then for much of that Hong Kong game, Kuwait looked like they were going to chase down the 166. They needed about 10 and over with 5 wickets in hand at one point. And yeah, look, I think that would be the way you'd have expected the results to go. But then if I carry into day 2 up at the Mopani cricket ground, where my colleagues Shoaib and Mikhail are commentating the action, bringing that to you live on ICC TV, and then also on Kantapur here, doing a brilliant job. Lovely to see. Big shout out to Sabina and Guy and Endramala, who are doing the in-studio coverage from Kantapur. It's in Nepali, so I can't understand all of it, but I've watched quite a bit of it. I've seen a few clips of it, and yeah, Guy and Endra looks really comfortable in his new role as analyst, the former captain. And Sabina is, somebody that we see in and around the grounds an awful lot. She's hugely knowledgeable. She's a wonderful presenter. So credit to both of them and the Kantapur team for giving this event such brilliant coverage, and also 80, maybe 100 gathered media, 10, 20 photojournalists, huge coverage of the event here. It's a shame in a way that it's happening during the actual ODI World Cup, which obviously I'm keeping an eye on the Star Sports coverage above, but the cricket calendar is so packed these days. I guess these things happen. So, yeah, that's where we're at with day 1. Day 2, I'm going to stick with Group B over at Mopani, where Mikhail and Shoaib were. Big upset, the first big upset of the tournament, Bahrain beating Hong Kong. Certainly if we look at it in terms of the rankings, that is the first actual physical upset of the tournament. And they did it pretty comfortably in the end by 20 runs. It means Hong Kong are not only going to have to beat the UAE in the final day, they may need to beat them by a certain margin, because Bahrain are ahead of them on net run rate, and UAE are miles ahead of Hong Kong on net run rate. So there's going to be a huge number of factors coming into that final day on Thursday. The calculators will be out. One big advantage that Bahrain will have, they play their game second. And that is so, so important. They will know exactly by how much they will need to beat Kuwait by if Hong Kong beat UAE. And that could set up the 3-way tie on 2 wins apiece at the top of the table. However, if in the morning game, if the UAE beat Hong Kong, then that opens a window for Kuwait to still qualify with just 1 win. We could have a 3-way tie at the bottom of that group, and that would end up, one side could go through with just 1 victory. One thing's for certain, UAE look pretty good to qualify, barring a heavy, heavy defeat, and quite possibly in top place in that group, even if they lost. We'll get to the questions in a little bit. Just going to keep wrapping up the first couple of days. So that's the Group B standings and where they're at. I'll just run through them really quickly. UAE on top with 4 points, Bahrain in second with 2, Hong Kong joint second with 2, but a worse net run rate, and then Kuwait are winless. A little bit surprised by their batting performance today, from what I hear from Paul Radley, my great friend, the journalist for the national newspaper in UAE. He said the wicket didn't play very well today, and there was a lot of different kind of crumbling effects to it. It started to turn quite a bit in the second half. So hopefully a better pitch in 2 days' time. I'm not out, there will be. Okay, Group A, Malaysia, Singapore, they're out. The reason why they're out is because of today's results. Singapore, credit to them, fought really hard today. I thought Surrender and Chandramohan batted really nicely. His innings of 41 off 31. If you haven't seen his dismissal yet, get over to YouTube or ICC TV and see the way he got out. He got out hit wicket. I think I've been doing this job as a commentator now for 5 years, 5.5 years. I've never seen somebody get out hit wicket. And it was a really strange one. He's gone really back deep in his crease, and he's gone to play sort of a back foot punch. But he was so deep in his crease that he's ended up clipping the top of his leg stump bail as the bats come down. He didn't even notice. He's hit the ball out and run the single. The bowler didn't notice either, Aki Vilias. He didn't even celebrate. And it was just the keeper, Pratik Adavele, who said, hold on, you knocked the bail off with your bat. And square leg umpire saw, And yeah, the umpire got the finger up and I had to trudge off. So that, yeah, kind of freak dismissal really ended Singapore's hopes of a chase fires, but ended up really well. Bilal Khan also did something that, for those who didn't watch the games today, he did something that I have never seen before, and this was extraordinary. He was bowling to the young left-hander who was making his second T20I appearance, 17-year-old for Singapore. Bowled a perfect leg stump Yorker, knocked leg stump out of the ground. First ball of the over. Umpire immediately puts out the right hand. No ball was signalled. So next ball comes in. It's a free hit, isn't it? And off that first ball, it ran away for 4 byes, given as byes because it's hit the stump and has run to the boundary. It can't be given as runs. Then, second ball, which is a free hit, runs in, Bilal Khan, nails the leg stump Yorker, knocks leg stump out of the ground again, but it's not out. They run 1 bye this time. So 5 byes, 1 legal delivery, could have been 2 wickets. Neither of them were out. The first one because of the no ball, the second one because of the free hit. 4 balls later in the over, the left-hander's back on strike, in swinging leg stump Yorker again, leg stump gets knocked out of the ground for a 3rd time in the over. First time I've ever seen it. Same batter, bowled 3 times, same stump each time, same delivery each time. And finally, Bilal Khan got his man right towards the end. So a little bit of kind of cricketing trivia for you there. That was nuts. That was really quite something. Okay, that was the morning game. Again, Maksud batted nicely, I thought. But the star of the show was Akib Ilyas, 63 off 35. He hit 30 off and over as well. It was actually 25 plus 5 wides, but batted really, really well. He is a class act. And yeah, very much worth a follow on the old Instagram for those who are into their social media stuff. Akib Ilyas is doing a lot on there these days. The afternoon game, that's what I'm just back to the hotel here now. Buzzing from it, not going to lie. Incredible atmosphere, incredible day. They're kind of halcyon days for not just Nepali cricket, but associate cricket that we're living through over this year. We've had a few of them, haven't we? 16th of March, 1st of May, into the 2nd of May with the reserve day stand out. I'm going to add today to the list. You can actually include the Scotland game in that, where Rohit Paudel got Nepal home against Scotland in that hugely unlikely chase alongside Karen KC. They put on 80 or 90 for the 9th wicket in that ODI. Today was right up there with it, though. Nepal did a huge amount wrong in the first innings. Malaysia were outstanding. Really, really good. Syed Aziz in particular. He's a class act. He's a proper player. 68 off 49 for him. And then really, for me, I put it down to the fans. The fans just started to get so involved in the game. They knew that Nepal were behind the 8 ball. Malaysia were, I think, 115 for 3 with 7 overs left at one point. They should have got 180, 190, even 200 if Syed Aziz kept going. And the fans just almost just kind of galvanized not so much Nepal's performance, but just the pressure onto Malaysia. And Malaysia really started to wilt under that pressure. And yeah, to finish with only 165 for 9 when they easily should have got 180 plus was so disappointing. Again, you talk about momentum. Nepal took all of that in because of Avinash Bahara's excellent death bowling, 4 for 27. And then, well, the next, I don't know what it was 18 overs. So the next hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes, I was transfixed up in the commentary box. Kushal Malla got things going with a sparkling 65. Amazing atmosphere in the ground. There must have been 10,000 there again. This is on a Tuesday afternoon, a work day, just straight after the Dashain Festival. And yeah, my God, it was so special. Hard to get across, actually, if you weren't there, as to how special it was. And then, yeah, Kushal Malla, he walked into the crease. I can't believe this kid's still 19. 19 years of age, walked in, has that swagger, has that strut about him. Yesterday, he only faced 1 ball. He hit the first ball for 6, and Nepal iced the chase. They only need a couple to win, and he did it in style. First ball, just smashed it for 6. But what he did today, again, looking at the pure numbers of it won't really describe it. 2 4s, 7 6s, 34 balls, 65 runs. But yeah, just incredibly special. He's 19. He's got the highest strike rate of any cricketer in T20I history that's got more than 500 runs now. He's got over, I think it's a strike rate of 180. That means he's striking at very nearly 2 runs per ball. He plays with a fearlessness and a carelessness, if you will. I keep describing it as an audaciousness or an audacity, if you will. And yeah, I had someone ask me earlier, they're like, well, what does audacious mean? Obviously, lots of people here in Nepal, English is maybe their second or their third or their fourth language. And and I'm trying to learn my Nepali. I really am, but I don't have the depth of skills to describe it properly. But yeah, I guess the audacity that Kushal has that I'm trying to describe is there's a fearlessness and he just completely, carelessness is not the right way to say it. He's completely fearless, and he just plays his own game, his own natural game. I asked him after, what was it like hitting those sixes and hearing the crowd literally stand to ovation and chant his name, and he said, "Oh, it's just normal, it's just what we're used to here." And he's got such a coolness and a calmness to him. The cricketer he reminds me of, it really is Viv Richards, who was one of my very favourite from the West Indies. I know Viv Richards is a right-hander and Kushal's a left-hander, but there's just a similarity. The swagger that they play their cricket with is so special. So yeah, that's going to wrap up. I'll give you a quick update of the points table, then we're going to do some Q&A. I don't know, what have I been talking for here? How do we check that? We've been talking for 20 minutes, so let's do 30 minutes of questions. I'll quickly run you through the points table and also just quickly explain the format, because there may be some things I'll explain here that you would ask anyway. The Group A table is as follows. Both Oman and Nepal have qualified for the semi-finals. That's it. They are in the semi-finals on Friday. Whatever happens on Thursday, they could lose by 200 runs on Thursday. They'll still play a semi-final on Friday, and they will be trying to qualify for that T20 World Cup on that one-off day. The only thing really that they're playing for on Thursday in the final group game is to top the group. Now, what that means is they will play second in Group B, the runners-up of Group B, if they win that game. They'll also, if you want to consider this an advantage, they'll also stay at the same ground. So the winners of the group will stay at the TU ground. Both of the semi-finals are the same time, the day after the final group game on the Friday at 11 a.m. So what that will mean is that Nepal in particular will, I know both sides will want to win, but Nepal will be desperate to win, because if they do win, they'll stay at the venue that they know and love the best. I know they played a little bit up at Mopani last week, but it's still quite new to them. They've only played, I think it's four games up there, 4 official matches, because they were due to play one in the ACC Men's Premier Cup, but that got washed out. So they played 4 T20s last week they won all 4 of them, I suppose, on a positive note, in the Dabarwani Tri-Series. But certainly they're going to want to win for a couple of reasons, to allow all their fans to come in and make that 12th player effect. So that's why Oman versus Nepal is a huge game. They both have 4 points, very marginally, by the barest of margins. Oman have a very slightly better net run rate, but that doesn't matter because the weather's set fair and we should be good for cricket on Thursday and on Friday. Malaysia and Singapore playing for pride. They don't really have anything to play for on what will be Thursday afternoon. That'll be their last game, and they'll be on planes back home. But great credit to both Ahmed Faiz and Aritra Dutta in particular. I think they're 2 good leaders. And the one thing I haven't mentioned for today, last thing to mention from today, possibly the most special part of the whole day for me, actually belonged to a Malaysian player. Mohammed Amir Azim is 22 now, maybe 21. I think he's 22 actually. He's a special young cricketer, completely homegrown, has learned all his cricket through Malaysia, like almost all the Malaysian players. They've done a brilliant job with their development system. He's a little pocket rocket. He reminds me a little bit of Devendra Singh Airi, but the other way around. He's a left-hander. He's their best fielder. I think he's a beautiful bowler. He's underbowled. He constantly is underbowled. He's a pretty good batter too. But he pulled off the most incredible piece of fielding you'll ever want to see that won't go anywhere in a scorebook. You can probably guess what it is. It's a boundary save. So he was at long off, and Kushal Mallab was just smashing sixes everywhere. Pretty sure it was an off-spinner bowling to him from the Chobar end, smashed down towards long off with real power. Any other fielder, I think, in the world would have been 6. And Amir Azim is leapt up with his stronger hand as his left hand, but the ball, if you can imagine, see him interpret it on Facebook, the ball's gone that way over to his right, and he's left up kind of reverse style over the back of the top with one hand, and he's hung mid-air, a little bit like Michael Jordan's the way I described it on air, and he's caught the ball mid-air, but everyone in the world is then going to fall over the boundary rope and go for 6. He's almost parallel to the ground, or almost that position, flicks it back in just before he hits the turf, 5 runs saved. And the best thing of the whole day, it wasn't the audacity of Mala. Every single Nepal fan, it was the most packed part of the ground, it always is. Every single Nepal fan stood up and clapped. And that, for me, if that's not amazing, I don't know what is. It cost Nepal 5 runs, and every single fan there stood up and applauded. And that's, I hope, what Nepal's ardent and amazing fans are going to be known for going forward. Stuff like that. They always clap opponents' 50s. They always stand up for opponents' 100s. and that was incredible. I'm going to try clip it up and get it up online. So yeah, that'll wrap up my ranting and talking. Time to get to some questions. And you're spot on, right, Milan? It was an outstanding save. It was different gravy. So why don't we start on Instagram? There's not many people on here. There's loads on Facebook, so we'll come to that. Actually, we're going to go Instagram, then we'll go YouTube, then we'll go Facebook, because there's so many on Facebook. Thanks so much to everyone for joining. And a big hello to Chris Greaves. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're going well. One of Scotland's finest wrist spinners. Always good to see a wrist spinner in the chat. We're hopefully going to get some questions now. So if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat. Don't spam them. And just to answer one before we get started, because I know loads of people are going to type it. How is Dipender Singh Airi? It's almost a little bit like David Beckham's right foot during England's World Cup campaign in 2006. That's how much it's been talked about. Dipender Singh Airi is nice to hear from Tony Hagan in Switzerland. So Anil Lamachani is asking how Dipender Singh Airi is. Everyone's going to ask that question. I don't have any more information than what I've been told officially by Rohit Pedal at the tosses, which is very much that it's not good. I think Nepal are somewhat understandably and wisely not replacing him in the squad for the moment, probably because whoever comes in wouldn't necessarily play in the starting 11 anyway. And because they're all based here in Kathmandu, pretty much all of the elite players, they can just pull someone in the day before the semi-final if they need to. So they're going to give him the 48 hours or so to do everything they can. We did hear he might get sent for another MRI. That's what Rohit Pedal told me today. But I think anyone in their right mind will understand that an ankle sprain or whatever kind of a lower leg injury that it is pretty unlikely to heal in time, much and always the importance of the semi-final can't be overstated. And the importance of Dipender Singh Airi can't be overstated. So look, disappointment on that front. I can't give you any more. I'm not withholding any information. I don't know. But if he's watching Dipender, I don't know if you're on the feed here. Just want to wish you all the best, mate. You're an absolute champion of a bloke. And yeah, Tiger. Okay, so let's get to a couple of the questions. Deveshad met me at the Mulpani. And yeah, lovely to hear from you again, mate. I've met loads of people across both the grounds over these sort of 10 days, and always so pleased to meet you. Never don't come up and say hello. Always happy to post your photos. Done loads of those over the last couple of weeks. Really enjoyed it. So lovely to hear from everyone. What questions we got coming in? Nippin says namaste, Takludai. Namaste to you, my friend. Okay, good question from Prataksha Gamir. He says, I said in the com box I felt that Lalit Rajbanshi should be playing for Nepal, but in place of who? Yes, I do strongly feel that Nepal picked a spinner too few today. And if you're wondering whether or not that's right, Rohit Pedal bowled 2 overs today. One of them was quite expensive too. I think it's a no-brainer for Lalit to play. He's one of their best bowlers. I know they're probably trying to manage his recovery from injury. He's had a horrible collarbone injury, miraculous that he's got back to playing. If you actually see it, you can physically see the damage still. He's such a tough, he's a real warrior with that trademark. It's that one, isn't it? That way he goes from celebration. Really clever bowler. I don't have a strong opinion on who he should replace Prakyaksha, but he's got to play. I don't know who. I think I'd leave that up to the team. So look, I'm not too sure. Lots of comments coming in. Arna Beer on the Facebook. Well, if you haven't heard about this one, you must have been living under a rock. Great shout out to Arna Beer, which is one of the premium Nepali beer brands, I believe, locally brewed. They are giving away really quite large amounts of money to every single one of the Nepal players based on their performance. Somebody will get it in the comments better, but I think it's for 4s, 6s, wickets, runouts, stumpings, dot balls. I think they even get money for dot balls. And there's ardent Nepali fans keeping these awesome spreadsheets. I've been sent a few photos of them with within the spreadsheets. They've got the exact figures that Arna Beer will owe the players. So yeah, credit to the guys. Awesome initiative. And one thing I've noticed big time on this trip is just the number of corporates that have been wanting, understandably, with the way that this team is going, to get involved with this incredible team. The Nepal side are some of the best ambassadors for our sport that I've ever met, some of the best ambassadors for this country that you could ever wish to have if you're Nepali. Anil Kenny, I haven't drunk the Arna Beer yet, but I'll be happy to give it a try. In fact, I'll make sure the next time I'm out, I'll make sure to go with the Arna rather than the Gorka, because then we're supporting the Nepal boys a bit. But yeah, brilliant ambassadors. It took for the most brilliant country. Okay, a few more Instagram comments, and then we'll come over to YouTube. So YouTube, start getting them in, and I'll scroll through them and get to them. Okay. Ayush Sabeti says, Andrew, do you often support Nepal openly? Does it affect you professionally as a commentator? I don't just support Nepal at all. I support all associate sides, primarily supporting cricket. That would be the main thing. I've seen a little bit of conjecture. There's always conjecture on Nepali social media about the kind of, how would you put it best, the bias, a little bit of home bias from some of the commentary guys that we've been working with. That's understandable. You've got to remember Nepal's very young in its time having their matches broadcast. The local guys I work with are all excellent. Sharad and Paris in particular. Sharad and Paresh in particular. The former internationals. So yeah, just give the guys some time. They're still learning. It takes a little bit of time to adjust to not saying we and that sort of stuff. I think the coverage has been really good, and great shout out to Yopesh Pradhan, who's doing an awesome job on both series. Okay, Avishek is asking, why is Sharad not in commentary? Good question. He was brilliant in the Tri Series. I would love to have had him here, but Sharad, sadly, he's just missed out because this is not a Cricket Association Nepal event. Obviously, it's an ICC event, and the rights holder is IMG for ICC. So they do all of the pathway events. So you might have noticed when you're watching the commentary and the coverage that there's just 2 commentators at each ground, and that's the way it works across the board. They're producing 540 matches of cricket across 2.5 years up to the end of this cycle. So you've got to give them some credence for the fact that they can only have, they've got to have a budget, and they budget for 2 commentators to do each ground. And yeah, sadly, it means we've got to commentate every ball. They're long days, particularly when they're double headers. But yeah, me and Paresh, I hope you've been enjoying Paresh's thoughts. I love Paresh. He's an awesome guy. One of my best pals here in Nepal, and a big shout out to him. And Sharad too. Sharad, I adore. I wish he was with us, but yeah, just sadly couldn't happen. So it's the 2 of us there. Grebo, great to hear from you, mate. Real pleasure as always. Looking forward to seeing Scotland back in action soon. Not 100% when that's going to be, but hopefully plenty of fixtures coming up. Ayush asking about why is Raj Banshi not playing? Can we see, Samrat's asking, can we see him replacing Vivek Yadav? Yeah, definitely a chance that happening. Would be pretty harsh on Vivek Yadav. He hasn't had much opportunity and he's done nothing wrong. Nice to hear from you, Rahul Dahal. Yeah, I've answered that question about Sharad. Madaj asking, do I enjoy coming back to Nepal? Yeah, absolutely love it. The organisers provide for travelling and accommodation. Yep, that gets looked after. Okay, sorry about the Facebook connection's actually a bit weird for some reason. Norlam says, which is the best team for Nepal to play in the semi-final? I don't think there is a good team to play. I think all 8 sides here, maybe with the exception of Singapore, who really struggled in the last year. But certainly 7 of the 8 sides are playing some brilliant stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't want to necessarily play Bahrain or Kuwait. They're both very dangerous teams. Hong Kong on their day can beat anyone. Yeah, and obviously UAE, well, they've got match winners across the board. Last few from Instagram. We're coming over to you guys on YouTube now. One sec. I've answered the stuff about Dependra. Lots of questions about Dependra already. Pratrick Dungana says, can I predict the semi-finals? Okay, let me have a go at this. I think Nepal are going to need to play really well to beat Oman, but maybe, just maybe, they're running between the wickets. Their fitness, their fielding, and their general kind of small 1%ers are better than Oman, so an home advantage might just tip that their direction. But don't rule out Zishan Maksud and Akib Ilyas and Bilal Khan, 3 of the very best there are in associate cricket, and awesomely coached by Dilip Mendes. Really, really like the Oman team. They're an excellent team. So yeah, can't rule them out, but I suppose let's go with Nepal to win that. So they'll play the home semi-final against second place in the other group. I see Hong Kong beating UAE in that last game, but I don't think by enough for them to get past UAE. And then I don't know what's going to happen with net run rate with Bahrain and Kuwait. So the other group's a mess. Who knows? If you put me on the spot, let's say I'm going to say Nepal play Bahrain and Oman play UAE. There you go. Okay, there's my semi-final lineup. Namaste, the Tackle Nice to hear from you. Sumit Kazi, no problem. We can do a photo anytime you want. Just come up to me at the ground. That's all good, buddy. I'll try to get up into the crowd a bit. It's been difficult too because we're commentating on every ball and there's literally no time. But yeah, maybe after the Nepal game on Thursday, I'll try and come up and maybe Paresh can do the toss for me in the next game. Lovely to hear from everyone there on Instagram. I'll come back to some of those questions. I'm probably missing a few there. Yeah, great to see everyone there. Okay, over to YouTube. Going to do about maybe 5-10 minutes of questions there, and then there's loads on Facebook, so we'll do about 10-15 minutes of questions there at the end. Okay, so here we go, YouTube. Thanks for being so patient, you guys, and thanks for coming on in such awesome numbers. There's like 1,500 people watching on Facebook, a couple hundred on YouTube, and 100 over there on Instagram. Okay, here we go. We're going to drag back and then go through them. Raj Baral says, will Nepal qualify? Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy at all. And no, Depender Singh is a big blow. I think if they're going to qualify their 12th man, the crowd are going to have to get them over the line. Not going to be easy, but they're very good on home soil, so they should be confident in doing it. Prajwal Gautam says, is Lokesh Bam a good replacement for Depender Singh than instead of Vivek Yadav? Yeah, look, definite option. He hasn't played a huge amount of late. I know some are calling for Dev Canal, the under-19 captain, to come in as well. Going to be interesting. Going to be interesting to see which way they go. I would get Lalit Rajbanshi back in the team, though, for me, 100%. Radiate says, this is an interesting comment, actually. I'm not sure it's true. I think well, let's see what you guys think. He says, Nepal are in exactly the same place that they were in 2014 with the T20 World Cup. Similar hype, similar money coming in, but then it led to a dip. So the next 3-4 years becomes ever so important. What's your say? I'll agree with the last part of it. The next 3 or 4 years is massively important. I think cricket and Nepali cricket are in a very different place to 10 years ago. Also, with due respect to Paris Kadkik, Andrew Leonard, Shakti Gautam, Basanta Regmi, all the legends of the game, they're brilliant cricketers. But the team, for me, is a much more professional one now, a much fitter one, a much more athletic one. They play an awful lot more cricket. And the ICC and ACC structures are so much better than they were 10 years ago that Nepal are light years ahead of where they were 10 years ago. I think the hype point might be the same, although it's hard for me to compare because I wasn't here 10 years ago. And the hype we are seeing right now in Nepal is off the charts. Front and back page of every paper, every single corporate's trying to get involved. Every person you meet on the street, they just want to talk about the cricket team and can they qualify this week. So, yeah, maybe it's a little bit better than 10 years ago, to be fair. But yeah, next few years is important. I also think that the Cricket Association Nepal are in a much better place than they were 10 years ago, and probably much better place to manage all of the potential stuff that's going to come, big matches against bigger teams and, you know, better facilities and all that. Pratik says Sampal Kambi and Karen KC could be rested the next match because they're losing their form. I don't think they're losing their form. I think they're two class operators. Karen KC was just the player of the series in the last tri-series. Anapras the Corey says, what do I think is a perfect position for Jura to bat? It's such a movable feast, the Nepali batting order. It's hard to say what his best place is. Nice little knock today to finish things off. I think he's going to have to be flexible and just do what the team needs the best, and he should be able to adapt to that. I would hope he's a good enough player to do so. Sometimes they're going to want to send Gulshan Jan above him because they want a left-hander in if Kushal Mal is out. Yeah, I think he's going to have to be flexible. He's fielded brilliantly. In the absence of Depender Singh, he's really stepped up. He's been outstanding. Shiv Krishna says, is it good for the team that Asif Sheikh is playing the ODI anchor innings in T20? Yeah, I think so. He's doing a really good job. Magnificent opening partnership today. Might have got a bit lucky with maybe the only incorrect umpiring decision we've seen. I thought he might have edged one behind today. Milan says, Don, I think the broadcasting quality should improve. Look, I'd love for there to be more cameras and more commentators and more budget, but it's just not the way it is. I'll say this for those watching, and trust me on this. I promise you, the team do an incredible job with a very limited number of staff. The cameramen are excellent. They are so much better than they were when I first came here 5 years ago. It's the same kind of guys basically doing it over and over again. Yopesh Pradhan is the kind of director come producer. He pulls everything together with the skeleton staff. And again, that's the mechanics of these ICC pathway events. They're very limited budget wise. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying the coverage. We try our best with with I think it's only 6 cameras, maybe 7 cameras in total. And yeah, really hope you're enjoying it. We do really try our best. Keshab Kadka Chetri says Nepal versus UAE would be great in the semi. Could you imagine another El Clasico at the TU ground, or up at Mulpani, of course? Navin Pockerell says, whoever selects Paresh as the ICC commentator for the Nepal matches must be a genius. What a character he is. He's a great character. If you don't know Paresh, he's got about as big a heart as you can imagine. And I love him to bits. So I really enjoy sitting with Paresh. He's great fun. He's got a wicked sense of humor too. He doesn't mind if I pull his leg a little bit and vice versa. We enjoy each other's company. And you would want to enjoy each other's company when you're doing 80 overs together in a day, or when the ODIs are on, we're doing 100 hours together today, every ball. And yeah, apologies. One last point on the broadcast. Good for you guys to know if you're watching at home and you're getting frustrated with me saying the wrong player's name or Paresh. We're in a commentary box where for the kind of basically the whole second game, the sun comes in to a point where we can barely see the pitch. It's a slight exaggeration, but it's a really low sun, and it hammers our monitor. It's hard for us to see what's going on, so we try our best to call things as best as we can, and our apologies if we sometimes get it wrong. Okay, Kushal Acharya says the T20 World Cup format. Where are Nepal going next if we qualify? Good question. We don't know yet. There are 2 different hosts, which is the USA and West Indies. West Indies is made up of a whole load of beautiful islands and territories in South America and the Central Caribbean. Guyana is the South America part of it. There are 7 host venues, I believe, for the World Cup in the West Indies, including Guyana, and some beautiful places, Barbados, Antigua, and St. Lucia, Dominica as well. And then there's 3 host venues in the United States, which is New York, Prairie View, which is the new ground that Major League are using in Texas, and the one that's probably best known that India played a lot of games at down in Fort Lauderdale. So they're the 10 venues. I don't know the breakdown. There's going to be 4 groups of 5. So 20 teams will be separated into 4 groups of 5 teams each. I don't know the breakdown of I presume one full group will be in America, which will be the one USA are in, but I don't know where there are going to be other group games in USA too, because then from there it advances to a Super 8 stage. The top 2 in each group go to a Super 8, then a semi-final, then a final. 55 matches between 20 teams. It's going to be magic. I've probably never looked forward to any Cricket World Cup as much since 2015. You can probably guess the reason why, but I'm enjoying this World Cup, of course, the one that's on Star Sports above my head, but it's only 10 teams. It's not quite the same without the associates. So 8 associates guaranteed, could be 9 if Zimbabwe don't qualify down in Namibia. And Ryan Burrell will kill me. I don't know if he's on the line. He might be, but you never know. Namibia have just beaten them 3-2. Okay. Going to try and get through these YouTube questions, and we're coming to Facebook. We're coming to Facebook in just 2 minutes. I know that most people are on there. Dev, thanks so much for subscribing. If you are on YouTube, click that subscribe button. That would be very kind of you. Shiv Krishna says, "Oh, you answered that question about Asif Sheikh. I got that." Anil Pangeni says, "You see, we all see Nepal winning, but I'm missing my Tiger, Dipender Singh Airi in the group of rhinos. Get well soon, our Tiger. He's a much loved player, and understandably so. He's just brilliant to watch, and yeah, I really hope that that's going to happen soon." Kaji says, "Hello, Andrew. Why aren't we, as in Nepal, approaching the lower-ranked full-member teams like Ireland, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan to play home series? Is it because of money, funds, or other logistics? What do I think?" Good question. I think historically it will have been, being honest, it's going to sound terrible, but it would have been difficult to convince test nations to come here. Prior to this year, it's hard to explain the advancements that have been made in 6 to 9 months for Nepal. That run of 11 wins from 12 on home soil captured the attention of a much wider cricketing audience than just the associate one. I had all sorts of people come and tell me about that. Really, really well-known, famous cricketers, commentators, and blown away by the scenes of 30,000 fans watching those games. Then they went to the qualifier in Zimbabwe. They were brilliant there, absolutely brilliant. And that's after the ICC Men's Premier Cup won the Asia Cup for the first time in front of massive crowds again. In Zimbabwe, they impressed everyone that saw them. They had great connections with the Zimbabwe side, with the West Indies team, with the Irish team, and they impressed them. They probably should have beaten Ireland, or easily could have beaten Ireland. They ran Zimbabwe awfully close for the first half of that game, 190 for none. They nearly, if they could have caught Nicholas Pooran, remember they dropped him, they would have had West Indies 60 for 4. So And they've got better again since then. They then went to the Asia Cup and made more friends. They're a very likable group of individuals, the players, and Monty Desai is one of the nicest coaches you'll ever meet. You put all that together, all of a sudden, that's a team that people want to go and play. So I think the reason it hasn't happened up until now is somewhat understandable. The team was very inconsistent. There was issues historically 5-6 years ago on the board. Now is the time for it to start happening on a more regular basis. The next cycle, which will be the Cricket World Cup qualification pathway for the 3 years between 2024 and 2027, will start in February, I believe, and I think it could start in Nepal, although we'll wait for that officially to be announced. That will see Netherlands join the other teams, Canada replacing Papua New Guinea from the last cycle, in an 8-team league. So that will get guaranteed fixtures. Then over and above that, it's time for Nepal to work away to get Ireland here, to get Afghanistan here, to get Bangladesh, Zimbabwe here. And I think it's going to start happening, hopefully, on a more regular basis. The global cricket calendar is very squeezed, but this is an attractive place to come. And if I've got anything to do with it, I'd really hope that Ireland and maybe Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, got good connections there too, will hopefully find a way to get to Kathmandu, whether it be for a tri-series or bilaterals. And I know you all want that to happen. Okay, last couple of questions on the YouTube channel. Okay, Ariane Fiel says, can you please tell me the process to become a commentator on specific sports? Do you need an academic degree? No, I don't have an academic degree. I've got a sports management degree, but that doesn't really have any effect on my commentary. It's, I guess, all about knowing the sport and getting a break and then following that up. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. It's still not easy to get gigs. But yeah, really, my passion is for associate cricket, all the associate teams I adore. Every single one of those associate sides. I cover the men and women around the world, been to all 6 continents now, covering it. Definitely really lucky to be doing it. Prakash Padel's asking, why is our fast bowling not clicking? The batting surfaces are pretty good. Last week in the tri-series, they're a little bit different. Segak Gamir says, I still remember the day listening to live cricket commentary on Kanchenjunga FM, especially World Cup Qualifier in 2014. That's amazing. Yeah, it's funny how the game's evolved, isn't it? And everything's broadcast now. Nice to hear from 977 Nepal, from Ganesh Poon. Really, thanks so much for the nice comment. Prabal is asking, can Vivek Yadav be a handy part-time bowler? We haven't seen him. Manish Shakya says, Andrew, I love the insight you bring in commentary. Sometimes I feel the other way team doesn't get as much coverage. Look, good question. We really try very hard, or certainly I do really hard to do as much coverage and insight work and background analysis on the opposition sides. Do an awful lot of that for all of the other series I cover. I don't just do cricket here in Nepal. I do a lot of cricket around the associate world. So we try our best, and apologies if sometimes with our knowledge of the local guys, particularly for Paresh and Sharad and Ayush and Sachin, the other guys, it would be understandable they would know the Nepali players better because they don't know the other guys from away as much as possible. So anything else there on YouTube? Last question. You're very welcome for the answer. A pleasure. Soviet Nepal, will the lower order be a headache for Nepal in the semis? We don't have experienced players like Tapendra. Good question. Could be a test for, and maybe that's where Sampal Kami comes up the order a little bit, or maybe Karen KC. Okay, let's get to the Facebook, because there's thousands still watching on here. Sorry if I've missed any of the questions there. I've tried my best to get to everyone. And a good question, is it win the toss and bowl first on Thursday morning? I would say so with the 9 a.m. start, certainly. Okay, Joshan, lovely to hear from you. Pasang Tuman Waiba, Taklu Dai, please understand the schedule of the semi-final. Okay, I'll explain this once more. On Friday, both games are at 11 a.m. the same time. One game will be at the TU ground, and one game will be at the Mulpani ground. At the TU ground, it will be first in Group A, plays second in Group B. So that, as of right now, would be Oman versus Bahrain. But obviously Nepal will have a chance to go past Oman and finish on top of the table. And at the same time, at 11 a.m. in Mulpani, it'll be first in Group B, plays second in Group A. Hope that makes sense. They're crossovers. Is that? Yeah, crossovers. So first play second from the two groups. Yeah, I've made that more complicated than I needed to. Ayush Dungana says, do I think that 2 spots from Asia is not enough? Good question. I've heard this a lot. And look, Will Glenwright, who's the head of global development from the ICC, has explained this pretty well. he says that even if right now there's a slight disparity in terms of the rankings, that there are some regions are stronger than others, and you would look at the rankings, you would say probably Europe and Asia are the two stronger regions in terms of depth of playing countries, and then also where they are in the 80 or 90 teams that are on the T20I rankings. But he thinks that will hopefully work its way out over the cycle and encourage teams in various regions, some like Japan, who's starting to come up in EAP, to get better and better. Would it be easier for one of these Asian teams to qualify through a EAP? Possibly, but they're not geographically there. And also, if they had to go down and play against Papua New Guinea in Papua New Guinea, they might not beat them down there. PNG are a good side. So, yeah, I see the benefits of both. One probably ideal scenario would be guaranteed places for each region, and then some kind of a repechage for the final spot. So, the third best team in Asia, the third best in Europe, second best in the Americas, third best in Africa, and second best in EAP would come together for one event. But again, think of the costs of what that would cost to pull together even for a week of cricket. So look, I think the most important thing is there's 20 teams at the T20 World Cup, and great credit to the ICC for moving that way. And I actually genuinely think, from covering all these sides, there's a massive chance to make that 24 quite soon. I would be moving that way as soon as 2026, 2028, maybe 2028, the same year as the Olympics, because the sides are good enough. Like, think about the teams that have missed out from this cycle alone. Bermuda in the Americas, very, very good team. Kamel Everock, Delray Rowlands, outstanding cricketers. Zico Burgess as well. From Europe, Italy, really unlucky. There's so many good players there. In Africa, one of Kenya, Uganda, Namibia, Zimbabwe, two of those are going to miss out. They'd be very fine sides. Whoever finishes third and fourth here in Asia would be great additions to a World Cup. So, yeah, I'd love to see 24 teams. Maybe I'm getting greedy, but 6 groups of 4 sounds good to me. Subhash Badarai says, great to meet with you on Friday at the Tri-Series final. Lovely to meet you too, mate. I love when people come up and say hello and namaste. And I'm trying my best with my Nepali. I've really only got my Tiksa, my Iktum Tiksa, my Ramrosa, and my Gadzap down at the moment, but I'm trying my best. Namaste to Aaron Bahara watching on from India. I'm hopefully going to get down to India just for 1 or 2 World Cup games before I got to go to Namibia after the series, where I'll be doing the Africa qualifier. I didn't catch the name there. Sorry, I can't read it out because it's not in my script, but he says, oh, it's gone. I think he said, please discuss some of the weak points. These are all the Facebook questions now that Nepal need to improve for the semi-final. I think I'm going to give one controversial one. I don't think they fielded very well in the first 5 to 8 overs of each game, the last 3 games, including the final of the Tri-Series. I don't know why. They dropped a couple of catches. Rohit Patel dropped a tough one today. Kushal Mala dropped one in the Tri-Series final. It's almost like they're taking just a little while to switch on. In the second half of the innings, they're fielding brilliantly. So that's one thing I think they'd like to see improve. And then, yeah, secondly, just that the new ball in the power play when they're bowling first. Need to be a little bit better. Mahan Khan asks me, what is my feeling about Bangladeshi cricket? Yeah, I love Bangladesh. I'm actually pretty devastated for them. I was talking to a great pal, Mahmoud Isam, about it. I don't know where this World Cup's gone wrong. They came in. I covered a full month of cricket there, Ireland, Bangladesh, in that 3-match ODI, 3-match T20I and 1 Test series, where I did my first ever Test match this year, and I adore Bangladesh, great country, awesome people, massive passion for cricket, but their cricket was on an absolute high. I actually commentated on the 3rd England versus Bangladesh T20 there. They hammered England. They completed the Bangladesh 3-0, and I thought coming across to India, they'd have similar kind of conditions. They play well. Shakib had such a brilliant World Cup in 19. He's still such a star. Mushfiqur, Mahmudullah, Mustafizer, and then, Tawhid Ridoy, all these guys have been coming through. But I don't know if something happened in the last month. They obviously lost Tammy Iqbal, and he's decided not to go. Yeah, I feel sad for them. Sagar Katri's looking for a shout out. Shout out to you, my man. Milan Dami says, good job. Thanks so much, mate. Ramgiri says, Hardik Pandya is the best place for the replacement for Dipender Singh Aditi. Good idea. I don't think he's going to pass the qualifications unless he's a Nepal passport we didn't hear about. Subhash, I've answered that question about Dipender Singh Aditi. I don't have any more update than what we know publicly. Bania Naresh says, sir, please come to Pokhara. I'm a big fan. I'd love to come to Pokhara. I haven't been down there just yet. I heard it's a beautiful part of Nepal, but equally I get requests to come to Eastern Nepal, Western Nepal. I do love coming here, and I really, really enjoy my time in Kathmandu in particular. Dinesh Kanel is asking, do ICC need to rethink the qualification format? It's literally the first time they've done it like this, so give it some time to bed in. I would guess, barring some big learnings, it'll probably be similar for the next one for 2026, and actually aspects of that 2026 sub-regional qualification campaign get underway as soon as February next year, because a lot of the sub-regionals, like in Europe, for example, they'll need to take place in 2024 to allow the finals in 2025 to then get to the 2026 World Cup. So yeah, look, let's give them some time. Yeah, I think on the whole it's a pretty good format. 8 associates are guaranteed to qualify, and it could be 9 if Zimbabwe miss out. Brilliant. Himal Gamir says, huge love from Nepal, and thanks so much for all of my support. The effect, the goosebumps you bring on stage, cheers the crowd. You're amazing. That's really sweet, man. Thanks so much. I constantly get overwhelmed by being here in Nepal and people being lovely to me. So thank you. Yeah, I can't say thanks enough. And in fact, I have to stop reading social media comments because people are too nice. It's the opposite of why people try to go on social media, because people are horrible. People are lovely here. Harris Bahara says, let's have an Arna beer party after the qualification of Nepal. I can only imagine what it would be like here on Friday if Nepal do qualify, but it's going to be really tough for them. Which countries are my top 2 picks for the 2024 qualifiers? I presume you mean from the Asia region. Didn't catch your name, sorry. The comments are just flying by. UAE, I find the hardest side in the world to predict, because when they're good, they can beat anyone, and when they're bad, they can bomb out and be terrible. But they've got a real score to settle with Nepal. They settled a bit in the Tri-Series. I'll say this. I think if Nepal beat Oman to get their semi-final at the TU, I think they'll qualify. I think that ground, they've got such a good record there. I would see them qualifying. From the other group, I do like Oman's chances with how good Akif Ilyas is playing. He's such a good player. Good pickup. They found the keeper. I like the way he's gone about his business as well. Maybe are they just a bit poor between the wickets and their fielding, a bit slower. Shoaib Khan has looked a bit mixed. Ayan Khan the same. Yeah, hard to call. Hong Kong could turn it all around and win 2 games back to back. The only thing I don't like about this format for Asia, it all comes down to 1 game. So you could win your 3 in your group, you lose your semi-final, and you're devastated. So I'm probably not going to make too many predictions. Pankaj says just 1 win to qualify for the T20 World Cup. Jai Nepal, yeah, absolutely. They just need 1 more. Joshan Maddo says, you may be the perfect person for a Nepali password citizenship. I don't know what that means, but thank you very much. Santosh Bandari says the Taklu Dai. Yeah, Taklu in the house here, the bald man. If you're not from Nepal, that means Taklu Dai is bald and Dai is elder brother. So it's a lovely way. Rajkumar Tamang says hello. Nice to hear from you. RB Oli, nice to hear from you. Prakash says you're hosting very well. Love from Argan Kachi in I think that's in rural Nepal. Nice to hear from you. Ardam Jalel says East or West, Andrew brother is best. That's very sweet, mate. Thanks so much. Ajay Prajapati says, is it a good choice to bring Avinash Bahara on in the power play? Yeah, not too sure. I think I'd save him for the death. Digression says, who do I think is going to win the Cricket World Cup? Good question. I've got a prediction on this front. Everyone thinks India are going to win the World Cup. I think, for some reason, I've got a feeling about New Zealand. So I think with all of their different narratives and stories, I think they've got a special team together again. If Kane Williamson can get fit for the last couple of games, got a feeling about New Zealand. Would love to see them win it as well. Speaking Nepali, Taklu Dai says Laksewa, namaste to you guys. I can't say much. I can say Tiksa, Iktum Tiksa, Ramrosa, Gadzap, Dandavad, Swagatam. I'm going to a lot more than that. I'm trying my best to learn some in Azur Kalagi. Yeah, try my best. Pawan Karel says, who should we bring back in place of Lalit? Not too sure. Sunil Bat says, should Pratish GC come into the next game? Probably not. I'd stick with Sampal Kami. I think they're going to stay with tried and tested. Okay, what have we been going? We've been going 55 minutes. We've got 5 minutes left. Let's keep it to an even hour. Let's go rapid fire questions. So if you ask a question, I'm going to answer it in like a sentence. So let's do 5 from each. Okay, so we're going to do 5 on Instagram, 5 here on Facebook, and 5 on YouTube. And they're going to be quick fire. Okay, so really quick answers. Don't give out to me if I don't say too much. So, the ones on Instagram seem to be more just comments. Okay, here we go. Bidan says, "Hey Lenny, fun question. How much weight did I lose in the last few months?" Love that question. I am trying to lose weight. I got awfully fat over the summer. Actually, the last 2 years, really, just been commentating on the road. So I'm doing the body coach hit. Shout out to Joe Wicks. In the middle of 7 days of sweat right here. You do 20 minutes. You just do them here in your room or wherever. 20 minutes, 20 moves. You do 40 seconds on, 40 seconds off. I don't have a weighing scale, so I don't know. I'd say I'm down 5 or 6K. So hopefully I got a lot more to lose. So shout out to Vikram Naponi, the Nepal physio, who's helping kind of motivate me on that front. And Farah Gorzi of ICC Americas, who is a very health conscious and fit person. She's been really motivating to me too. So thank you to her. Prashant B says, "What's the one thing that went wrong for England in the Cricket World Cup?" How do I answer that quickly? Everything. Everything's gone wrong. They have been dreadful. Prediction for them: they're going to lose to the Netherlands in their and be beaten for the 3rd time. Kamal Giri says, "Is it true if Nepal beat Oman, Nepal qualifies for the World Cup?" No. Thursday's result has no consequence on whether you qualify for the World Cup or not. Both teams go to the semi-final. You have to win the semi-final to qualify for the World Cup. And then the 2 finalists play again 2 days later, which is the final, that in essence means nothing. Yes, it's for silverware, but both teams go to the World Cup anyway. Hope that explains that. 2 more Instagram questions. Hey, Leonard. Right back at Jamie. It's good to hear from you. You noticed I've got the slimmer. Good God. That's very kind. And the second part of your comment's not true, Bidan, but thank you. Nice to hear from you. Paris, very big namaste to you. Last 2 questions. Aces, says Ian. Nice to hear from you. Fastest 200 ODI wickets, Sandeep. Correct. And last question on Instagram. Give us one more, and then we're going to move over to YouTube. But great to hear from everyone. Ayush is the best partner of your commentators. We like you both best. What do you want to say about him? Ayush is a great kid. Yeah, really enjoyed his coverage and his efforts throughout. And Pratik says, Sampal Kami or Bilal Khan? Tough question. Bilal Khan with the ball. Sampal Kami is an all-rounder. I've kind of sat in the fence here. Okay, some YouTube questions to finish off. Last 5. Masab says, we listen to Nepali musical instruments playing in the background. Can't they be used as performers during the event? That'd be cool. I did hear those for the first 2 games of the series. That they are kind of like big trumpets, and they make such a cool noise. I don't know what's happened there. Pratik Chappelle says, "Who is your wife?" I don't have a wife. Kaji says, "What's my favorite beer?" Well, I'm supposed to say Arna with all the support they're giving, but I do love a Gorka here too. Favorite Nepali player says Truth Decoder. You're not supposed to have favorites, but yeah, it's pretty hard not to be a big fan of Kushal Mallow, given what he's doing, and Dipender Singh are great guys. All the players are awesome. Rob Pedals, fantastic captain. You know, love the leg spinner, Sandeep. Like, what else can we say? There's so many good cricketers. Great cricketers across all 8 teams here. Last 2 questions on YouTube, and I'm going to do 5 on Facebook to finish. Bakash Shrestha says, no 3rd umpire in today's game. There is a 3rd umpire, but there's no TV umpiring decisions. Yeah, you're spot on. And the reason why that is that there isn't the minimum facility, the minimum quality that's needed on a broadcast to get the 3rd umpiring decisions, if that makes sense. Sujan says, should we try Pratish GC and Lalit in place of Karen and Sampal? I'm not sure those changes will happen. Maybe the one change I would see happening for the Oman game would be Lalit Rajbanshi coming in for someone. I don't know who. Okay, 5 questions on Facebook. Then we're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for everyone joining. It's been an hour, a really fun hour actually as well. After what was one last word on today. Today was awesome. Really halcyon special days for associate cricket. And I hope that this is the start of something that's going to continue this year, really, not just here in Nepal, but gone into Namibia. We had a brilliant series in Bermuda. Edinburgh was excellent. I wasn't in Port Moresby and Papua New Guinea, but I know it's the first time there's been these regional qualifiers for the ICC. I know there's things that they'd like to improve with them, and they will get better in time. But on the whole, given the amount of cricket that's going on right now, yeah, definitely associate cricket is getting better coverage than ever before. So that's great to see. Okay, last 5 questions very quickly here on Facebook, and they're one-word answers. Hello to Naren. Bikash Galiju Srestra says, do I like Momo? Yes, is the answer. My empty Momo. My empty Momo. There's the Momo sauce. There were some chicken kote momos I had just before coming on. Pratik says, Nepal could invite Zimbabwe and West Indies for the Tri-Nation Series because the Nepal players have exposed themselves to El Clasico against UAE. Good shout. That would be an awesome Tri-Series. Let's hope that's the kind of thing we can look at happening in the near future. Manish Karla says, will Pakistan qualify for the Cricket World Cup semi-finals? It's looking really tough. They did the right thing today, though. They didn't just get the win. They got the big net run rate boost. So it's going to be tough. I think Afghanistan are in a better position than them. Probably don't relate the Dutch, but the reality is, if you look at the kind of probability factors of it all, the 4 semi-finalists are looking awfully likely to be India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, barring one of those 3 sides. India are basically in, but one of the other 3 sides collapsing a hole, which they could. Thanks so much, Janak. Far too kind. Joshan, how's my dinner? Delicious. Unbelievably well looked after here in Kathmandu. Always, if you've never been to Kathmandu, stick it down on the bucket list. Robin Stakal says, will it be Nepal versus Bahrain in the semis? Definite chance. And somebody says, who's going to score 100 in the qualifier? Probably going to happen at the TU rather than the Mulpani if it happens. Ooh, what about Akib Ilyas on Thursday for Oman? Could happen. Kushal Bertel's shown some shades, isn't he? He'd be the other chance. Barashi, nice to hear from you. Okay, very last question. Nagdav Dave says, Andrew, what do you think about Nepal playing the World Cup? They got a real chance. They're going to play very well on Friday. Doesn't really matter what happens on Thursday, although if they do it on Thursday, it will give them the advantage. We're playing at the TU ground and having the confidence of the women form. So look, that's an hour. In fact, it's an hour and 5 minutes. So I think that should be that. Amazing day today. Loved every second of it. Really appreciate everyone coming on and saying hello. And yeah, I'm going to hopefully be in touch tomorrow in some capacity. There's a cool podcast I did with Avash Gamir, that I think is coming out tomorrow. His Color of the Games podcast. I'll try and link that up on social media. I really enjoyed that on Saturday. We recorded that. Lovely guy. Probably better known for his football commentary, but does some cricket too. And yeah, it was a long podcast. So if you're bored and you want something to help put you to sleep on Wednesday, check that out. Ajaya, nice to hear from you from Texas as well. And Garo Vlog says, guess the 2 finalists. Last question on YouTube. I'm going to go Nepal and Hong Kong just to be rogue. Let's see. It's impossible to make a call. It all comes down to those semi-finals on Friday. And nice to hear from Nick Esh, watching on all the way from Russia, who says the tackle dice must be a bit of Nepali origin there in Russia. Lovely to hear from everyone. Thanks so much for watching, tuning in, and thanks for staying engaged in what's been an awesome tournament. 8 teams are now down to 6. 6 still retain their hopes, their dreams of qualifying for a World Cup. And I think all 6 teams still have a really realistic chance, particularly Nepal, Oman, and UAE, who are basically very likely to be in the semi-finals. Nepal and Oman are guaranteed. It's all going to come down to Friday. It's going to be a marvelous occasion wherever we are. And yeah, just thanks so much for tuning in, for engaging, for sending comments, for coming and saying hello in person if you're in Kathmandu. And yeah, thanks so much for all the support. Really appreciate it. You know, say big good night and namaste from here in Nepal. All the best. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you again soon. Okay. So ending the video there on Instagram. How do I end? Finish on that one there. And guys on YouTube, a little goodbye from me. Thanks so much. All the best. Bye.